You are standing in a footprint the size of a bathtub. It belongs to the king. But you are the appetizer. The mud is still warm. The air tastes like rot and wet leaves. Something huge passed through here not long ago, and one day you might look exactly like it. Today you fit inside its track, and just when you think that is inspiring, the ferns beside you twitch. Subscribe for brutal animal survival stories, POV, no mercy. You turn toward the sound and see the brutal truth of your life in one instant. Being born as a Tyrannosaurus rex does not make you scary. It makes you available. You are small, shivering, leggy, all mouth, not enough mass. Maybe you hatch with a fuzzy coat. Maybe only a thin one. That part is still debated. Either way, you do not look like the monster on the posters. You look like a fast little accident with future branding. And the world notices. Everything here runs on hunger. Small predators, crocodilian ambushers, older juveniles of your own kind. Anything with teeth and an opening in its schedule. So your first move as the future king of dinosaurs is not to roar. It is to hide. You crouch in cycads and fern shadows while the floodplain breathes around you. Insects rattle. Water slaps against roots. Far away, something enormous bellows through the trees. That sound should be comforting. It is not. Because even if an adult T-Rex is nearby, that does not mean you are safe. It just means there is another giant problem in the area. Nice work, but don't relax. You are hungry now, and hunger does not care about your destiny. So you go hunting for things unworthy of your reputation. Small vertebrates, insects, anything soft, quick, and stupid enough to hesitate. Your first strike misses. Your second almost sends you face first into the mud. Your third actually works. Tiny prey, tiny meal, tiny victory. For about 4 seconds, you feel unstoppable. Then a shadow crosses over you. You freeze. A hunter bursts from the brush, fast, feathered, built for exactly this sort of chaos. You do not need its name, you only need its speed. You run. Your legs churn through slick ground, your tail whips for balance. A root catches your foot, and suddenly the heir to the most famous predator in history is one bad bounce away from dying in a puddle. Elegant. You scramble up just as jaws snap where your neck was. That is your first near-death lesson. Legend is useless until your body catches up. You survive by staying small, fast, and forgettable. That sounds smart. It also sucks. Because while the world imagines you as a walking apocalypse, your actual childhood is mostly panic, hiding, and trying not to become the crunchy part of someone else's day. Days turn into months. Months turn into years. And here comes the weird part of your life. You are not growing into a miniature adult. You are becoming something stranger. Longer legs, lighter frame, sharper turns, a body built less like a bulldozer and more like a pursuit hunter. You live in the awkward middle. Too big for the tiniest scraps. Too small for the giant herbivores. Too dangerous to ignore. Too fragile to dominate. So you take what you can get. A lizard near the bank. A mammal under roots. A small dinosaur that breaks the wrong way at the wrong moment. Your jaws get stronger. Your confidence gets louder. Your survival rate improves. Then the floodplain sends you a reminder. You are tracking movement along a muddy channel. Maybe another young hunter. Maybe dinner. Maybe both if things go very well. You move closer. One step, another. Then the reeds explode. It is not prey. It is a larger juvenile tyrannosaur. Same family. Same idea. Much bigger. The head is deeper. The bite is heavier. And unlike you, it already looks like bad news. It slams into you shoulder first. You hit the mud hard enough to see white. The air leaves your chest, its jaws snap at your flank and miss by inches. Now this is important. When people think T-Rex, they imagine one giant monster alone at the top. What they forget is that getting there means surviving every other T-Rex that is also trying to get there. You kick loose, spin, run. The older juvenile follows, and suddenly the whole chase becomes brutal science. You are not outrunning it with strength, you are outrunning it with youth. Longer, lower legs, lighter build, tighter turns. You cut through dense growth it can barely power through. You leap fallen wood. You slide down a muddy bank and crash into shallow water. The bigger tyrannosaur skids above you, furious, roaring, too heavy to follow cleanly. You do not move, not even to breathe properly. At last it leaves. That is the moment your life changes. Because now you understand your real childhood job. Not hunting, not ruling, not becoming famous in a museum. Escaping older versions of yourself. Wait a minute. That means your life is unfair in a very specific way. When you are small, almost everything can kill you. When you are medium, your own species is one of the biggest problems. And when you finally get huge enough to matter, the cost of staying huge begins. What a design. Still, the upgrades keep coming. Your skull thickens, your neck bulks up, muscle piles onto bone. The bite that once snapped up insects starts turning into industrial equipment. And it is not some smooth, heroic transition. Growth hurts. The head gets heavier, the frame shifts, balance changes. Your whole body is basically a construction site with anger issues. But every miserable month buys you power. Now when you bite, prey does not just panic, it folds. Small dinosaurs become easy. Medium prey becomes possible. Carrion becomes worth stealing. Oh, look. You are finally starting to resemble the nightmare everyone paid for. Your senses help too. That nose is absurdly good. You smell water, mud, carcasses, and distant herds long before you see them. The floodplain becomes a map written in stinking blood. Useful, also disgusting. Now the menu opens up. Edmontosaurus. Armored dinosaurs if you are desperate or reckless. Maybe a young ceratopsian if the odds feel survivable. But bigger prey comes with bigger consequences. You spot a herd moving through open country. Massive bodies, heavy footfalls, enough meat to matter. You lower your head and track the weak one, the lagging one, the one with just enough bad luck to meet you today. Then you charge. This is not the sprinting little hunter from earlier. This is impact. Mud flies. Birds explode out of the trees. The herd breaks in all directions, as if the earth itself just grew teeth. You slam into your target. Your jaws close. For one incredible second, this feels like the version of your life the documentaries promised. Then reality shows up swinging. The herbivore kicks, hard. Pain shoots through your chest. You almost lose the hold. The herd circles back in confusion and noise. One wrong angle and you are under trampling feet with several tons of regret on top of you. You wrench away, bite again, drive forward. This time the prey stumbles, then drops. Meal secured. Almost. Because a carcass is not ownership, it is a broadcast. Scavengers appear first, then smaller predators. Then the possibility every apex hunter hates most, another apex hunter. A rival T-Rex steps from the trees. Broad skull. Old scars. No interest in sharing. Now your problem is no longer killing dinner. It is defending dinner without getting injured badly enough to starve next week. So the two of you posture, snarl, feint, measure. No clean movie duel, no dramatic countdown. Just two giant animals calculating whether meat is worth permanent damage. Sometimes the answer is yes. This time, it nearly is. The rival lunges. You collide head to head. The impact rattles through your spine. Teeth scrape bone. You shove forward, it twists away. Neither of you gets a perfect bite because neither of you wants the other one getting one either. Eventually it backs off. You keep the carcass. Congratulations. You won dinner and a new set of aches. That is adulthood as a T-Rex. Power, yes. Comfort, absolutely not. And just when you think becoming enormous solves the title of this video, here comes the really cruel part. The stronger you get, the narrower your options become. You cannot live on tiny prey now. Your body is too expensive. Every day is a budget crisis with teeth. You need large meals. Regularly, that means risk. Again and again. Horned dinosaurs are walking arguments with spikes attached. Ankylosaurs are basically tanks with opinions. Even a harmless-looking herd animal can break you if the chase goes badly enough. So you become careful. That surprises people. The top predator still has fear, it just looks more strategic now. You circle instead of charging. You choose the isolated target. You back off when the geometry feels wrong, because one shattered leg and the king becomes scenery. If there is one thing that sucks most about becoming legendary, it is this. The world still only needs you to fail once. Maybe you mate. Maybe you pass on your line. Maybe somewhere nearby a nest begins the same terrible joke all over again. But there is no happy throne scene. No applause. Just more seasons, more hunts, more rivals, more scars. Then age arrives. Quietly at first. A chase that feels heavier. A turn that feels slower. A missed bite you swear should have landed, you brush it off. Bad ground, bad angle. Bad luck. Then it happens again. And again. Nice work. But don't relax. Because this is the last trap in your life cycle. You spent years outrunning predators. Then years overpowering prey. Now you begin losing small pieces of both. Recovery takes longer. Old injuries talk back. A younger rival stands its ground a little too long, and suddenly you understand why. You are still terrifying. Just not automatically. That is a brutal difference. One dry season, you track a herd for hours. The scent is clear. The opening is there. You launch. And your body does not quite follow the command the way it used to. The prey jolts sideways. Your bite catches hide, not control. It escapes in a thunder of mud and noise. You stop. You do not chase. Because for the first time in a long time, you know you could not afford the waste. Wait a minute. This is how it ends, isn't it? Not with some glorious duel. Not with the sky splitting open. With fractions. A little less speed. A little less force. A little less margin. And in a world this violent, fractions kill. Sooner or later, a hunt fails that cannot fail. A rival presses harder than you can answer. An injury lingers too long. Hunger stays too close. That is what truly sucks about being born as a T-Rex. Not the egg, not the fear, not even the years of being a fast little nobody in a world obsessed with your future. It is the irony. You spend your whole life climbing toward absolute power, only to discover that absolute power is still rented. For a while, you are the footprint. Before that, you are the thing hiding inside it. After that, you are just another body the floodplain will eventually take back. Which prehistoric animal had it worse than the T-Rex? Let me know, and I might do a breakdown on them next. Because somewhere out there in warm mud under a prehistoric sky, another hatchling is already cracking into the same deal. Grow fast, kill carefully, trust nothing, and pray your legend arrives before your luck runs out. Tap the next video, trust me, this one's insane.